space on us.
So, are you a mom? Have you ever taken time out? Have you ever felt guilty when you've taken time out? That is what we're discussing today with the Wow Show. So, I am Bridgetti Banda from Cape Town in South Africa, and with me today is Kathy, Mary, and Emily. So, ladies, won't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hey, I'm Emily. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Kathy?
I'm Kathy. Yes, I'm Kathy, and I'm from the Reading, Pennsylvania area.
Hi, I'm Mary Elizabeth Jackson, and I'm from Tennessee.
Fantastic. Hi, ladies. It's lovely that we're all together again today. So we're missing two ladies. Sarah may join us a little later, we're hoping. And Donna-Marie was planning to join us today, but unfortunately, it's one of those mom things that simply has to take precedence. Life happens and we have to take care of life, right? So today we're talking about timeouts. How many of you have taken time out from being a mom, from being a wife, from being the carer of your family? And when you took that time out, did you feel guilty about it? How did the time out go? Did you have your husband call you every 5 minutes? Did the kids call you every 5 minutes? Did you switch off your cell phone? Did you just go AWOL and say, well, I'm not contactable? How did you deal with the timeout? How do you feel about timeout? Ladies, who's first? How about Mary? Mary, have you ever taken time out? Have you felt guilty about it? How does your family handle time out? And what does time out mean to you as a mom and a wife?
Well, recently, in the last several days, it has a different meaning to me than it used to, just because it's something that I'm going through right now physically, where I have to take more time outs for myself at this point. So it's taking on it's going in a different direction, where timeout used to be the desperation of even just going to the grocery store by myself, right? Going to the bathroom by myself. And no, did the kids handle it well? Does the husband handle it well? Not really. They want to know where you are. 5 minutes feels like 5 hours. When are you coming home? Where are you? You get all the text messages, you're like, oh my gosh. So you just turn your phone off, I guess, unless it's an emergency, because it's like, can I just have 5 minutes peace and quiet in the middle of Walmart, please? I'm just going to go sit in the bathroom in Walmart, right? So I have taken timeouts over the years, because I'm doing the mom thing for the third time. So it's a little bit different at this age. I feel like I've got to have more of that space, and I've got to have more of that peace and quiet in order to refuel myself and keep my sanity, bring all my energy back into me so I can be a better mom. And what I'm realizing now is that I've not done the best job with it. So I'm kind of dealing with the repercussions of not taking good time for myself and not taking really good care of myself. So now it's like we've had to talk to the whole family, and everyone has to understand that, mom's got to have some peace and quiet. Mom's got to go for a walk by herself. Mom's got to go out and do things by herself. So, but I think there was a lot of guilt in the past. I don't think there's any guilt right now, because I want to get back to that healthy, that healthy, balanced person, so I could be the best mom I can be. So it's different now. I'm not going to feel guilty at all anymore. Sorry. I've done so much. I work all the time. Family comes first. So now I've got to do that for myself, but it has to be a balance.
I think, that's one of the things we learn as we get older, isn't it? It's one of the great things about getting older as a mom. You mature more as a woman, and you realize you have nothing to prove to the rest of the world, and that you can be a better you if you take time out. And that time out has to be guilt-free. I know when you're a young mom and you leave your kids behind, you have this intense sense of guilt, like you're doing something horribly, horribly wrong. And as you grow into your own as a mom and as a woman, you realize, but it has to be guilt-free, because if it's not guilt-free, it doesn't really get the desired effect. Kathy, how do you deal with timeouts?
right now, you know what, actually, with the kids being older and they're being teenagers, they're more self-sufficient. So it's a lot easier to be able to do that. A little bit different situation than you, Mary, but you know, that's the thing is because they are self-sufficient, I can take those timeouts if I choose. If I want to go for a run, all I have to do is say, see you guys, I'm going for a run, I'll be back. And, you know, you can only hope that the house won't burn down. But, you know, I don't feel guilty anymore. I think when they were little, I felt guilty if, you know, if I actually took some time to myself. It felt like my job was to be there for them. And it was to a certain degree because I was only working part-time. Mark was working full-time. And so I was basically the caregiver, the main caregiver. And being in the area that we're in, I don't have any family that's there. Only Mark's family is there, and his family's really not that big. But I always felt this sense of like, if I had to ask his mom, I just hate asking for help. Hate asking for help. So there are many times where I probably could have used a timeout, but I didn't ask for help. You know, his mom really did a lot for us. So I felt guilty if I had to ask her one more time, can you watch the kids so I can go do something fun? You know, that actually was kind of foreign for Mark's family. You know, you don't, you know, you get help when you have to say, go to a doctor's appointment or if you have to go to work, something like that. But if it was something for fun, it was kind of like, what? Who does that?
Yeah, what's fun?
Right. Well, the older generation, if you think about it, the generations before us, when did they ever really take time for themselves?
They didn't.
They didn't.
Isn't that why they were on Prozac?
Or wait at 5 o'clock cocktail hour. That goes all day.
Yeah, there you go. So, you know what I mean? So actually, I felt guilty and felt weird asking for someone to watch the kids so I could go do those kind of things. So I really had to rely on Mark to be home to be able to say, you know what, can I go do such and such? And I have to admit, back then, even then I felt guilty because he never really asked to do anything fun, you know?
Yeah, a lot of the guys don't.
But now now I don't feel guilty doing stuff because, you know, I realized all that. I think you get older and you start realizing all the things that you really truly do for your household and for the kids. So I don't feel guilty anymore.
Right. And Emily, having listened to what Mary and Kathy have said about taking time out, how did you deal with it? And if you had to go back in time now, is there anything you would have done differently with regards to time out? And did you have support from family that could help you when you needed that time out?
So my mom actually lived with us the first 12 years of my son's life. And so, oh my gosh, so grateful for that.
It was a lifesaver.
Oh yeah, because, you know, I don't know who knows or not, but my son is autistic and bipolar, and he's been in the special needs system since he was like 2 years old, actually. 3 years old, they go into the school system.
Yeah, you got to
start getting help that way. I think I might be missing a gene. Like I wasn't connected to my kids when they were born. I wasn't like, oh, baby, give it to me. I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do with this? And I got to take this home. You're going to trust me with this?
Emily, mom of the year.
Right. So when I got timeouts and stuff, I don't think I ever felt guilty for it. I was constantly, because of the situation I was in, I was constantly worried, is he going to bite somebody? Are they going to beat him because they don't like him? I was constantly worried about him being abused by the teachers because he was a handful, and him hurting people because he had a huge oral fixation.
Wow.
So there was never guilt. I always enjoyed my time off, but there was always in the back of my mind, oh my gosh, something tragic's going to happen. So if I could change anything, I would think drink more so that you can't think of that stuff while you're out. I really don't know. If there was a way to shut off worry.
Maybe you should be on the Prozac, Emily.
I think so. I mean, it sounds like I only had one kid. I actually had two kids, and they're only 18 months apart. So my daughter was a worry wart. But yeah, I'm not that person that calls you when I'm not by you. If we're not like together, I'm not going to call you. I think this whole month that I've been gone, I talked to my husband maybe 10 times in the whole month I was gone, because I'm not that, I don't know. I'm not a girl.
But Emily, when you had your second child,
Emily's
did
not a
you
girl,
feel-
Bridgetti. You need to address that. She's not a girl. she's a wannabe. I don't know.
Did you feel any better with the second baby about, time out or leaving them alone? Was it any different?
I don't know. Okay, so I'm really glad that I had my daughter. Had I known I was going to have all the
That's a
issues
tough question,
with my
huh?
son, I would not have had my daughter, because you never know if you're going to get like a bunch of issues that you're going to have to work through and support and everything like that. She was an easy child, a really easy child. So I guess because I would never put them with somebody that I didn't trust, and so my mom got a lot of it. I didn't have any worries. I didn't have any guilt. I enjoyed all of the time that we were gone.
That's good.
I think that makes a big
It makes
difference.
all the difference. Yeah.
If you have a good support system.
Yeah.
Like Kathy, you said you didn't have that close at hand. I mean, if you've got your mom living with you, I mean, that opens, from other women I've spoken to, when you have a parent living with you, there's also a whole lot of challenges and dynamics that goes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes women complain about interference with their parenting role, or confusion about, the parenting role when a grandparent lives in the home with them, apart from the obvious blessings that comes with having a grandparent there, someone you can 100% trust with your children, and simply leave the house and not worry. That is a great plus. But when you don't have that and you need to take time out, Kathy, just picking up on what you said about not taking time out for a pleasurable purpose, only asking for assistance when it was absolutely necessary, like a doctor's visit. If you had the opportunity to go back now, would you have done that differently?
I think
would you
so.
have asked for more help for time out to recharge?
Yes, I think I would have. Like I said, it was kind of tough, like with Mark's family and everything. The fact that, it was foreign to them. I mean, you have to understand Pennsylvania Dutch people. They're very stern. I don't want to say they were stern, but I don't know if you ladies know much about the Pennsylvania Dutch.
Nope.
But it's really not something, a lot of time they were work. You do all those things, you take care of the family, you work, and this is what you do. We don't necessarily, it's foreign for women to, with those type of people, and also their age group, to actually take time for yourself, for fun, away from the children. That's just something you don't do. So I don't know if she would have understood as much. I wish I didn't care like I did. I wish I could have relaxed more than I did. I know it would have been completely different if my family was in the area. because I know that I could go to my mom and I could say, can you take care of the kids? Can you do this? Will you do this? If I had more of that, my side of the family, I think it would have been easier.
Yeah, I agree, Kathy. And we don't have, I've never had grandparents nearby to help me with raising my children. I have friends.
My grandparents are deceased.
Well, I
Are you
mean,
talking about
grandparents, yeah, grandparents to the kids. Yeah, my parents.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I have lots of friends who the mom lives with them or dad or they're nearby, live in the same neighborhood or whatever. So, the grandkids the kids get to go spend the night with grandparents for the weekend. I mean, they take them on trips. I mean, I've never had any of that ever. I have a brother and sister-in-law and 2 nephews who live about 10 miles from me. But we're also busy with our own lives that, it's kind of like those emergency situations where we help each other out, so I've never had that experience of having help. You know what I mean? I rarely even ask friends to come and help. And now, luckily, my oldest is old enough to kind of pitch in and help when I need, but I went 2 years without sleeping at the age of 46, 47, and 48, because I had a child who sensory, terrible colic and other things. And I mean, I can't, sometimes I'm amazed that I'm even sitting here, and I'm, like I said to Elizabeth the other day, sane and not in a closet somewhere crying, because my body is still trying to recover from that. So I can't run at the pace I was running. And so my timeouts right now, and I want to hear Bridgetti's story, but my timeouts right now are to kind of check in with myself several times a day and just stop and sit if I need to and deep breathe and kind of get my focus back into being in the moment and not 10 million different places, because that's really draining, but it's to just kind of do whatever I can for myself, relaxing off and on all day long, even if it's for just a minute, because that's nurturing me and it doesn't cost anything. It's cheap and free, and we like cheap and free. So,
Well, you were talking about, the kids staying with the grandparents. And that's one thing that our kids are a handful. They've always been a handful, very energetic, really hard, for a parent to deal with kids that are just constantly on the go and up and down and all over the place. But then for his parents, like if you knew Mark was probably the most ideal child, because other than his asthma and his eczema, I mean, very quiet, just very respectful, just never got out of hand, that type of thing. And so this is what they were used to. So they did have a hard time with our kids, because like we'd go over to visit them, and we went over there quite a bit when they were younger, so they could see them and we could see them too. The kids would be bouncing off the couches and just, ping, ching, ching, ching. And I could tell that it was hard for them to deal with.
It is for most people.
Yes. And it really put some stress on us too, because it was like, oh my gosh, sit down.
Yeah.
So there was really never a, hey, how about the kids come over and sleep over and we do this? They took them on a day trip. They tried to take them on a day trip. They got about 20 minutes from the house, and the kids were carrying on so much that Mark's father was like, that's it. We're done. Turn the car around, back home, and that's it. I'm like, oh, turn.
You got so hopeful.
Yeah, I was. After that, there was never, ever an invitation to take them anywhere.
Oh, bless your heart. What about you?
So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is.
So what about Bridgetti?
Well, when my boys were young, they both had a sleeping disorder. They suffered from night terrors.
Oh, yeah.
Which meant that on average, we used to wake up, I counted between 13 to 15 times a night.
I'm
when
so
they were both at
sorry.
that stage. For both of them, it stopped at the age of 3, so they were 2 years apart. So we had 5 years of interrupted sleep. It was really, really hard.
Mm.
And what we did was once a month they went to my mom, and I was very grateful for that. And they went there for a weekend, and we used to just crash. It wasn't a weekend to clean the house or to do stuff. It was simply crashing, simply to catch up on sleep. I found getting away from the okay, that's the wrong word to use. I'm not going to say getting away. Sorry, my phone's ringing. I should have turned that down. I'm not going to say getting away from my children, because that's not what you're doing. It's taking time out. It's taking time out to recharge your batteries. And I believe time out's important because it's time to regenerate who you are. It's time to regenerate being a better mom. It's time out to regenerate being a better wife. Because unless you take that time out, you know, as moms, we're on duty 24/7, isn't it? It just never ends. There's no such thing as sleeping time, even when especially when your children are quite young. They can wake up at any given time. Requests come all hours of the day and all hours of the night. You know, it's demanding. And unless you take that time out for yourself, you literally burn out. And you turn into a beast that you don't want to be, simply because you are mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted from being available 24/7. And here's the thing that I struggled with when I was a mom the first time. When I left home, I found it was difficult to really switch off, because, you know, dad will be calling, when are you getting back home? And when the kids were old enough to be able to use the telephone, Mom, when will you be home? So I kept looking at my phone and feeling, you know, not being able to relax, because I'm waiting for the next phone call to hear, when am I going to be home? You know, you'd hardly be away and my phone rings, says, how long are you going to be? When will you be back? And it was difficult to relax that way. And I think if I had to do it over now, I would like to go away without, I don't know, you can't switch your phone off completely, because if there's a real emergency, you want to be contacted. But maybe negotiate with your spouse or whoever's looking after the kids and say, look, for X amount of time, don't contact me if anything happens, unless a child breaks a bone and needs to be rushed to the ER. If it's not that kind of emergency, don't let me know. Like if they've spilt milk all over the bed or whatever, I don't need to know that kind of stuff. You know, when my kids were young, they used to call me for little things, and eventually I said to them, you know, if you've got a tiny little paper cut and there's just a drop of blood, it's okay. You live. I don't need to know that. You can tell me that when I get home. So unless something is broken, like your bone is broken, I don't need to know. Because if you're getting those constant interruptions, you can't really, really relax as a mom and have time out. So for me, the big takeaway is that as moms, we must have time out, and we must have guilt-free time out where we can totally relax our minds. Because when we come back, we can be a better mom, we can be a better wife, and we can deal with the ups and downs of life and the challenges as they come. So yes, I guess there are a few things I would do differently if I could go back. You know, I feel as you get older, you relax a little bit more. I also know that when I had my second child, I felt more confident as a mom. And I was a little bit more trusting. I realized that, you know, there's not that much that can really go wrong, because most people you will entrust your child with have been a mom themselves, and they kind of know how to deal with the emergencies. I think first-time moms are a little bit more nervous. You know, you have trust issues with people. And I think just realizing that, you're not going to break the child, or the child's not going to break if you're not there. And that timeout is definitely essential for every mom. Mary, a question for you.
Yes.
You've got a special needs child.
Yes.
Is it harder for you to take time out?
Yes. Definitely. Definitely with this one, it has been harder to take that time out because, well, you don't, it's a little different, I guess, because you don't know who can handle him, who can handle the situation, who you feel comfortable with. So I'd rather leave him with my oldest, who is very, both my girls are very comfortable with behaviors and situations that need to be addressed. So taking time out and getting someone else to help is not, it's not as easy as just with, I guess, a typical child, So yeah, I would say it's more difficult. And I've already been through something with one of my children that y'all know about. So I'm a little bit more, I'm a lot more cautious about who I leave my children with. I mean, my youngest is not in the school system here where he would be good for him to be in 5 days a week in a classroom, and he's not in there because there are no cameras in those classrooms yet. And I'd be the mom who would be sitting there going, and I'm not neurotic this way, y'all, but because of what I've been through, I would be the mom that would go, okay, I'd say hi to his teacher, and I'd say, I've done a background check on you, and I'll be sitting in the parking lot watching you every day, which is
but
not,
you know what though,
not
Mary,
healthy.
I know how you can be so scared and everything because, I mean, in all honesty, they wouldn't be a teacher if they failed their background check. You know what I mean? So it's like there are people who do abuse and overstep their boundaries who have not even been caught. So I can only imagine your fear, of wanting to make sure that your son is protected.
Yeah.
Because I know that you probably feel this way, but it's like, we're here to protect them, and when, Hannah is bullied the way she's been bullied, and I feel like, I am her protector. So I need to make sure that she is safe. There he is.
Yes, he's dressed for church.
I
His
see the
sister
top
got
of
him
his
dressed.
head.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to go to the church. Yes, we're going to the Castle Church. Yes. There's like a tower. It looks like on a castle at the church we're going to this morning, and so he calls it the Castle Church, which I think is actually really cute. Yeah. So yes. But yeah, it's Kathy, you'd be amazed at how many people I have learned slip through the system even with not a good background check. I mean, and have their licenses pulled, and they still get to teach somewhere else because areas are
really?
desperate for it. Oh yes, wow. Absolutely. And so I know what you're saying, but I guess on my end, the only reason I disagree is because I've seen the information about people slipping through the system and still being able to teach. And it's like, okay. And they'll go to different states. That's the other thing that's kind of scary. So
seriously?
It's like, yeah, seriously.
So
you know what? I think that would be a great conversation.
That'd be a good topic.
Bridgetti. Yeah, absolutely. Because, I guess I just assumed, if that's on your record, you can't teach.
If it's
no
on
matter
your record,
what state you're in.
Well,
Well, you were just saying.
Yeah.
That you can go to a different state and still teach? Wow.
Yes, because we've done some background checks in the past, and there are, you can go to, I think, your state's, the Department of Education or something for the state you're in, and you can look and see teachers' licenses that have been pulled, or maybe they've been reprimanded, they have marks against them. And you can check teachers' records to see, have they come from another state or not? Yeah. So it's very interesting, and it's very helpful and educational. to be able to go and look for that. You know what I mean? Especially, and I would say to do it, you know, I think this is really something important to be taught, that should be talked about. And, you know, when your child is, and I know this is not our subject today, but when your child is going to preschool, and a lot of them do cry because they're having separation anxiety. But if it continues or it happens out of the blue, the crying, you need to check the situation. And I mean, ask the teacher what they're seeing at school, ask the aides what they're seeing at school, ask if you can come into the classroom, because because there's something going on. That's been my experience. Hey, can you all whisper? I'm sorry, you guys.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Guys, shh. So my experience has been, I thought Lily was going through separation anxiety, and I knew she needed to be in the classroom to get prepared for kindergarten. And so I looked into things in the sense of what was really happening. And I kept getting, she's just having separation anxiety. She's just having separation anxiety, but it kept going. And then that's when my instinct said, there is something not right here. But I didn't get any answers. And what I got was a runaround, and that everything was fine. And then, of course, then you get the call. We got the call from the police department, not the school system, saying that it had occurred. And when the police department calls you, then you know that it's very serious what's happened, because they do not investigate something like what happened without there being enough evidence to go in and investigate. They just don't. So you know that something really has happened when you get one of those phone calls. And I hope for anyone I ever know that it never happens to them, or anyone I don't know. I really hope that you never receive a call like that.
Right. But you know what, really, all what you're talking about here really is somewhat relevant to, you know, mothers, young mothers being afraid to take time for themselves because of that situation.
Yeah, because if you talk to special needs moms in the special need community,
yes,
and I don't know how many friends Emily has, but I do know I'm on a Facebook group here. There's like 200-300 moms. They are some of the most high-stressed mothers and families that you will ever meet in your entire life. Like, I have a very good friend of mine who is we're trying to pursue the bill situation together, the legislation. She has 2 children. She's just pulled them out of school because they both have been abused in the last year. She's taking advantage of an IEA voucher that's just come in to the state here in January, so that you can take your child out of school, and you're given $6,000 approximate dollars, and you could take in homeschool your child, or put them in private school and get tutors and things that you need for him. It does not cover everything, but it's because we have such an overload of special needs here in this state. They're trying to come up with a way that people can take their children out and do something else if they're not happy with what they're getting in the school system. Now, she has a child who has got Fragile X syndrome, and one that has Down syndrome, and they're both on the spectrum. And I mean, her life, God love her, she's like my age, and they're 11 years old. They will be with her their entire life. They will never live on their own. Her day-to-day life is just absolutely incredible. Her stress level is off the charts, and she never gets time out or time to herself. I mean, she can't literally do it, because then you've got to have somebody come in who can take care of both the kids. So, you know, this is a great topic. And for moms like that, if you can take 1 minute to yourself, an hour or a day, where you can just deep breathe and kind of take yourself into a place like the beach or a tropical island, or somewhere that you can just detach from what's happening in your environment for just a minute, and kind of bring all your energy back into your body and yourself, and deep breathe and keep breathing. That's more than nothing. You know what I mean? That's more than nothing. So, and I'm passionate about this because I do have quite a few friends who it's just, it's really, it almost makes me cry what they go through, you know. And there's so many of us who are so fortunate to not have to do that, but that is the life that they have, and they're doing the best job they can. And every one of them is top rockin' moms as far as I'm concerned. They all deserve a medal.
Yeah, you know what? I can definitely tell. Oh, sorry, B. Go ahead.
Go for it, Kathy.
All moms deserve a medal, right?
Well, that's right, Emily, they do. Because it is,
But
and
special
there's
needs, oh my gosh, yes.
yeah, and you've got some rockin' dads out there. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still going to the playground. So I see the dads out there. I see the dads at Walmart, and I see the dads at Target and the grocery store. And I'm like, that's so cool. I love it, and he's got the pack here, and he's got 2 in the stroller, and he's got the groceries going. And I'm like, dude, you're awesome,
You know what I love? Because dads, okay, so a lot of times we think that, women have it worse, moms have it worse. And I believe they still do. But it wasn't until I had kids, and I know that this has changed because it started changing when my kids were young. Oh my gosh, I could not even get a break by letting him take the kids to the bathroom because there's no changing table in the bathroom for men.
Oh, right.
And now it's like it's been changing and stuff, but the whole system's been kind of set up so that the mom can't take a break.
You're right.
And so
You're right,
for the
Emily.
men that step up and actually do this stuff in a woman's world, because in this situation it is a woman's world,
Yeah, right.
I got to give them extra kudos.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to give a big shout out to all the dads. And, I think we'd love for anybody to comment here, even after the show's over. What are your timeouts that you take for yourself? Like, what do you find works, and any suggestions you have? Because, we're all open to those suggestions, right? So, I know I'm going to try to do my baths with candles and turn on the music and just pretend I'm at a spa, it's helpful, right? That Calgon take me away bath, So, but it's, I would love to hear from other people, wouldn't you guys, to see, how they're doing it and what do they see that works, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're a special needs mom,
absolutely.
What are you doing to nurture yourself? Because man, you need it. Amen.
Okay, so when it comes to timeouts, can I ask you, ladies, what is your ideal idea of a timeout? I mean, what would be your ultimate timeout, and how long would that timeout be? I know that would be different with every family and every situation, and it's very dependent on where your children are at and the personalities of your children. But if you had to craft your ideal timeout for your situation, what would that be? Emily, what would that be for you as a mom?
I guess it would depend on why I needed that timeout. I love working out by myself, getting in my zone, just sweating. But then I also like the beach and reflecting, contemplating, or a nice bottle of wine in the evening where I don't have to worry what's going on with the kids until the next morning.
Hey, Sarah's here. I agree. Emily, just put your straw in there, baby. Hey, listen. Okay, I've got to go. We're going to church early
Mary,
this
I know
morning.
you've got to run. So will you quickly tell us before you need to run, what does your ideal timeout look like?
Definitely the beach. I'm in there with Emily and Kathy, and I know Sarah loves the beach and B does. So we're all going to meet up at the beach someday. Definitely the beach and quiet, absolute solitude, quiet, no sound, no noise. That to me is like, oh.
So it could be a closet.
It could be a closet, yes, with a good book in there, right, and a light on. So I would say that, and I love to be out in nature too, but just that peace and quiet. And Sarah, I love you. Happy 30th birthday. And I love you guys. And so I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay, Mary, it was great having you here, and chat soon.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye.
Bye. So it looks like Sarah may be able to join us, which is fantastic. So we can hear what her timeout looks like. So Kathy, if you had to craft your ideal timeout, how would that look?
Well, it would be a month away. No, sometimes I do dream of that. I'm like, wow. No, but I would miss them too much. As you already know, I'm actually coming to you from the New Jersey shore, down in Atlantic City, New Jersey. But I would definitely, the beach would be one place. I love the beach. I love to just sit there and you hear the waves crashing and you hear the seagulls and just taking in that time. Working out also, same here, Emily. Love to work out, love to do stuff like that for myself because it helps me to keep sane. So, you know, if you really think about it, we really have to work as women to not feel guilty when you need to recharge, because if I could go back and do it over, I would have recharged a lot more when the kids were young, because Josiah was actually what I would call special needs at the time because he wasn't eating. He wasn't eating properly. It would take me about 45 minutes to feed him, and then he would choke on something and throw up and cry, and I'd have to start all over again. It was terrible. So, you know, especially the special needs people or special needs mothers, they have the kids like that. They really need to take that time.
Absolutely. I think, you know, looking back, we can all do things differently, and I think as older moms, we can, the best we can do is let the younger moms know that, you know, whatever you're going through, you will survive, and that it's absolutely okay to take time out. Here's Sarah, and Sarah's our youngest mom.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi,
Sarah.
I've just been crying my eyes out, you guys. That was just the most beautiful video I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, I just had my birthday and my husband put together a video full of people just like saying really lovely things about me, and some of you ladies were on it, and I just could not stop crying and laughing, and it was awesome. So thank you.
Sarah, thank you for joining us. I know it's the end of the day for you and it's a little bit late.
Yeah, it's been a huge weekend.
I really appreciate that you could join us. So we're talking about timeouts, you know, and because Abel's still very young and you're breastfeeding, do you find it hard to take time out with him, considering that you're breastfeeding, or do you find a way around that?
No, I find it really hard, even if it's not a feed time. Something about them physically needing you, you just always wonder if they're like gonna need milk. Even though he's 1 now and he only feeds twice a day, it's like you feel this bond to them that you can't be too far from them or something will happen. But I've realized now that if I don't get that time out, it's not good for me, which is then not good for my kids anyway. So, but it is hard. It is really hard mentally and even just physically. Sometimes when you're so tired, you're physically just exerting yourself all the time, taking care of little children. It's like, oh, time out, whatever. I'll just, you stay up late, and that's not a healthy time out.
Yeah, I used to love nap time.
Yeah.
Nap time
was a great time.
Because, yeah, our two are 14, 15 months apart.
Oh my goodness, I could not.
So, right. So they actually got to a point where it was like their naps were at exactly the same time. When Josiah was a baby, he actually napped like 3 times.
Wow.
So I got them into a cycle where they actually napped at the same time.
Awesome.
So during the nap time, that's when I took the time to recharge. Now there's lots of times that, you know what, I took time to do laundry, blah, 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 but I did not. There are a couple times where I would actually do it to do stuff personal for me. So Sarah, if there's anything that I can tell you is don't feel guilty if you have a sink full of dishes. If you need to recharge, yes, it is, because you feel like you're letting Tim down if he comes home and he's got a sink full of.
I thought nap time was nap time. Like the kids go to sleep, you go to sleep.
I get it. I used to do that in the beginning, Emily. I used to like sleep when they were sleeping, but then as he got older, for some reason, I felt like.
But if you need to recharge,
is Kathy in slow-mo? Kathy's in robot mode.
Do it.
Oh,
Am I in slow motion?
yeah.
You know what? I'm in a hotel.
Oh, right. That'll do
It
it.
could be the Wi-Fi that's a little bit wonky. You know, it
Oh,
happens, unfortunately.
Yes, it's the Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
Hey guys, can you?
I did want to say though, one thing that I really helps me recharge is I will I want to clean just one room in the house, just one room, and light a candle in it. And then I kind of just fool myself into thinking the whole house is clean, but it's hard. But I just want a space where I can relax, and I love candles. I just love fire. No, I love candles and scented smells and stuff. So that's always a good way for me to take a time out. But sometimes
It's
I need to take
amazing,
the other kind of time out too. Because
especially when you've got young children. It's taking a long bath with some candles seems like something you have to plan for, you know, and even then you're lying in the bath thinking, how long can I, be in the bathroom without somebody calling me or yelling or needing me? So it's really challenging when you've got young children at home. Do you have a support system, Sarah, apart from Tim? Do you have parents that you could leave the children with?
Yeah, and you know what has been amazing? Yeah, so my parents will babysit. My husband's parents live about 2 hours away, so they're not really able to do that. And but my parents are really great, and they're incredible grandparents. And my dad, one thing that's made a real difference this time around after having Abel is my dad will come over before work, sometimes 2-3 days a week, and just play with Poppy, which has just been a lifeline for me because I just had a moment where I could breathe and just focus on Abel or just focus on Poppy, and he would kind of play with the other child, and it was just so important for me because it gave me that time to breathe. But yeah, we also have a really great church community who are always, they love our children, and there's something so special when you see people just loving your kids because they want to, and yeah, friends and all that. I do have a really good support network.
It is challenging, because I think with the society that we live in and the way the world has gone, we also have challenges with trusting the right people.
Right.
Unfortunately, we live in a society where there are predators that comes in all shapes and forms. And sadly, sometimes those predators can be family members. The predators can be neighbors. They can be people we think we could trust. It could be close friends.
Right.
And I think as a parent, as a mom, you always have that underlying concern.
Totally.
Is my trust misplaced? It's a real difficulty, and I think where we're at now, it's become a lot worse. It's something we've always had. I'm not going to say it's a new challenge. We've always had that challenge. It just seems to become a little bit more difficult. I don't know if you guys, I forgot the lady's name now. She was a school teacher and she was convicted at a school. She was sexting a boy, and she got she was sentenced, and then she got a sentence suspended.
Wow.
And recently, like in this last week, I think, they discovered that she was teaching at a local school, volunteer teaching at a local school. So she broke her parole, and she's going back to jail. She's been caught. She's going back to jail for 15 years now because her sentence was suspended.
Right.
But if you think about, how brazen people can be, I mean, she had this conviction hanging over her head, and yet she was brazen enough, and she did this in the same county. She didn't even go to a different state.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
Is this in the United States?
Yes.
See, that's something that I mean, we really what's that?
Oh no, nothing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we're so intentional about talking with or especially Poppy, around that kind of thing, and she won't stay the night anywhere but at her grandparents', which is one thing. And we've had very honest conversations with her about privacy and things like that, to the point where there are some very awkward moments when she's around people and she'll just say everything she's been taught, which is quite confronting for some people. But at the same time, it's like, as in about boundaries and about what people can and can't, you know, like, but she has a voice. And for me, I think it's important to have those conversations and to go with your gut about not just giving your kids to anyone because you need a break, but if you have a check in your gut and think, I don't feel right about that, just follow it, no matter who they are, family or not. Just don't allow it. So it's an important topic. We could do a whole video about that one.
So rounding off our timeout, can I just hear from you all what you would say? How often do you feel as a mom we need to take timeouts? Emily, what would you say?
Every day. Every day. Seriously. Because every day is a new day, and each morning. So personally, right now, my life has changed a little bit. My timeout is in the morning. My mornings are sacred. Do not talk to me before 11 o'clock. The kids go to school, and I use that time to do spiritual stuff, personal development, meditate. I sometimes don't even get dressed until 11 o'clock, and it has helped me to be a better person. So I say every day.
Kathy, how would that look for you?
Yeah, I say recharge whenever you feel like you need it. Now, you know, some people might feel like they need it, 8 hours a day or something, but, be realistic, just if you feel like you need to recharge, then do it. Like I told Sarah, I said, as far as the dishes in the sink, we feel like we need to do them, but if you absolutely need to take that time to recharge, because I'll tell you what, you're not going to remember those dishes in the sink 6 years, 7 years from now. You're going to think about and feel guilty for things you did or the way you were because you didn't recharge.
Yeah, right.
One thing that my mom has taught me, and it's something that I teach my kids as well, is you ask yourself, is this going to matter 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And if the answer is no, then let it go.
Right.
It's been so helpful.
That's really good advice.
I think that's great advice, Emily. That's great. Sarah, how does that look for you? How often do you think is a good timeout?
I do agree that every day you need like a small amount of time to yourself, which if I'm honest, I'm shocking at. I was doing really good for a while there, and Tim would get home from work and I would hand him Abel and be like, I'm going for a walk. And I would just walk out the front door. Even if it was just like 10 minutes, it was just what I needed. And I noticed a difference just in my energy, my mental health. I just felt so much better. But then life lately has gotten a lot busier and I've just not been doing that as much. So I think for the sake, you can be quick to forget that it's for your family that you're doing it and you're not being selfish. So I think every day, but I think it's important every now and then, maybe once a fortnight or once a month, to go out and have like a night with your friends, or just a time where you're not a mother or maybe even a wife and you're just a woman again. It doesn't have to talk about anything child related, or you can talk about whatever you want, basically. I feel like that's important on a bigger level also. So I think you need daily timeouts, but then, weekly or fortnightly or monthly or something. And my best friend last night for my birthday wrote me a card and said, I'm taking you away for a night at a hotel to watch DVDs and order room service and like eat food. And I was like, so that's going to be my quarterly timeout. I'm excited about that one.
Quarterly.
That's a big one. Annual, maybe.
Well, you need that. I think as a mom, you need the little breaks, every day, even if it's 10 minutes, just so you can gather your thoughts. And I know that when you've got a baby like you, Sarah, that 10 minutes become precious. As our children are older, we can take longer breaks from them. For me, it's very different now because my children are both adults. I've got one married son. So I'm totally, I totally don't have any mom responsibilities with my children any longer. And I miss that. I really, really dearly miss the mommy thing. But I know how overwhelming it gets, and I know how important time out was for me. I used to sometimes escape to the bathroom. Not that that was my sanctuary, because somehow it was like, mommy's going to the bathroom. Yay, let's follow her.
Every time.
Anyway, ladies, we've got to wrap this up. Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm glad you could join us, despite that it's always late for you on a Sunday. It's the end of the day, and I know we're totally exhausted. So
Thanks,
it's
ladies.
fantastic that you could. Thank you for joining us. Anyway, ladies, any final words?
Bye.
Bye. You're in timeout. You're in timeout.
Yep,
It's
timeout
time for me to
time.
have a timeout at the beach.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us
Bye.
today. And from me, Bridgetti, goodbye. Take care. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining the WOW Show. Bye now.